Good evening. This is the Rod of Michaels coming to you with another video. This video I want to discuss my journey in terms of how I was led to help so many people and bless so many people. You know, the Lord said it's good to be a generous giver. So giving has brought me great joy. Helping has brought me great joy. It is so good to know that you can do a good deed for so many people. The world is in need of Good Samaritans. So I want to tell you about the different deeds I've done and have helped. And this has all been inspired, as I said, by the Lord Almighty. He's moved me to help these people, and I help them as the Lord instructed me to. The first one I want to explain is the man on the side of the road. I was traveling with a friend. We were on a job call when I saw a man on the side of the road. It was a Caucasian. He was bleeding profusely. I remember the blood all running down on the side of the drain. The funniest thing is there were so many vehicles. It was a busy highway. Cars were coming up and down, and they just looked at the man and nobody helped. Just like in the Bible, nobody came forth to give him a help. As we passed by, we saw him. Immediately we stopped the vehicle, me and my colleague. We lifted him up. We put him at the back of the pickup. We made it a nice bed for him. We put him at the back of the pickup and we took him to the nearest hospital. Lucky for him, we waited until we heard from the doctors, and lucky for him, he made a full recovery. We gave him some cash, called his wife, and she came the next day crying and full of tears, and she was so thankful. And these people were just normal vagrants, poor people who had nothing, and that was really a blessing to have helped them in the way that we did, me and my colleague. So the Lord uses us. He used us to give a helping hand to those who truly was in need. Again, I remembered a man walking in a hot, blazing sun. He did not even have a hat on his head. It was about 42 degrees. And I saw this man walking on the highway. I saw the sweat running down his face. And I was on the opposite side of the highway. I had to make a U-turn and come all the way back. And the funniest thing is, I took a lot of water with me in our fridge at work. I took a lot of waters and cokes that I had with me because I was going to drink on my way. And as I saw this guy, I turned around and I came to him, and he was so sweaty, so dehydrated. I gave him the water, gave him the cokes, and I gave him the cap that was on my head, and he was so happy. Lucky for him, he wasn't going too far because the next town was quite near, so I knew he'd be okay. And I turned around again and I proceeded on my way. And again, I was so thankful that I could come to the help of this individual. I was again at another time on the road going to a place called Messina in South Africa, when I passed a family on the side of the road. They were broken down. The back tire was taken out. And I actually passed them. I thought, well, somebody would help them eventually. But as I drove on, the Spirit of the Lord came to me and said, go back and help him. And again I turned my car around and I went towards the family that was broken down. And miraculously, the spanner that I had, the wheel spanner that I had in my vehicle, was the exact match for his wheel and his bolts that he needed. And I could not believe that I had the spanner that he so badly needed. And he said to me that others had stopped, but they couldn't help him because the spanner size was not the one they were looking for. And my spanner size was exactly the one they were looking for. And anyway, they managed to fix and repair, change the tires, and again, they were on their way. Such a joy to have helped them. I was again on my way to Cape Town with a friend when I was climbing an uphill for about 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, just proceeding on an upward trend. And I was going quite fast, I remembered, and the road was a one-way. On the other side was the oncoming traffic, and in the middle was a concrete barrier, so you could not see the vehicles on the other end of the road, and just a little narrow way for the pedestrian to walk. I sped past while chatting to my friend, and something in my spirit said that I just passed a woman with a baby on her back. And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, no, maybe I'm just hallucinating. And I continued driving for another 2 kilometers. But again, the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, you passed a woman along the way. You need to go back and help her. And I ignored the first call, and I carried on driving. And again, the Lord said, you've passed a woman with a baby on her back. You need to go back and help her. So I stopped the vehicle and I told my friend, I said, listen, I have to go back. We just passed a woman that was carrying a baby on her back, going on an uphill. And this uphill is going for 4 or 5 kilometers. It's too much for a woman to walk. So we had to turn around and go back into the town we came from and come back up the exit, the hill, until we came to the spot where we found the woman walking with a baby on her back. We picked her up, we put her in a vehicle, and we took her to a home. We gave her some money, and we both cried because it was so fulfilling that the Lord sent us back to help this woman that needed help so badly. I remembered helping a boy just recently that advertised, or he was on Facebook crying out that he has nothing to eat, he's suffering, he has no family, and nobody was there to help him. I called him and I sent him a donation of 10,000. He was so happy, and with that money he fed so many others that was hungry just like him. And we had a relationship thereafter where he began feeding children who have no food, who came from broken homes. And again, it was another joy to help somebody that was in need. I also help people in my wife's hometown of the Philippines, where we feed children who are needy. We feed children in Johannesburg that are needy. As much as we can, we try to perform good acts and help people wherever we can. And this is not to boast or to brag. These things we do is all done in secret, and the Lord has rewarded us in secret. But it's just worth mentioning that we have been helping, and how good it is to be a good Samaritan to those who are less fortunate than yourself. I remembered in the northwest province of South Africa, it was during the winter, ice cold winter, snow caps on the mountains, and I met this young non-Caucasian or black man only wearing a skimpy trousers and sweater, and I could not believe this guy is walking in such cold weather with nothing on his body. I had a thick leather jacket on. It was a jacket that the bikers normally use, a very thick one, and that's really insulin, or that's really what you need against the cold weather. It was really a thick, hot leather jacket that I had on. I then took off this jacket off my back and I gave it to this guy who was freezing. And I knew he needed it more than I. I was in my vehicle, I was nice and warm, and here he is walking in the cold. So I gave him the jacket, and he was so thankful. And he was living nearby, and he went home. I again remembered 2 vagrants in the park that I preached to, and they gave me such a sad story of their lives. I've mentioned the story of these 2 vagrants in another video I have mentioned already. But again, I gave them some cash for them to buy food and eat for the night. I remembered going down to a place called Durban in South Africa. When I came to the halfway house, it was also in the winter, icy cold. It was around about 11 o'clock in the evening. When I came to this halfway station, it was very, very, very full because it was holiday time and everybody was traveling to their families. So it was very, very packed full with vehicles. For some reason or other, this family pinpointed, saw me, and came straight to me. I've even asked them, how did they see me, identify me, and come to me in all these people around? And they said they don't know. It's as if God led them to me. Anyway, I gave them the full amount, fill their vehicle with gas. I gave them enough money to go on the journey, and I offered them a meal to eat, which they refused because they said I'd done more than enough for them. I remember the driver, he was with his wife and his children and his granny. He offered to pay me back. So I said, no, this is a good deed. You don't need to pay me back. He was so thankful. Me and my wife, we had a meal, and the children, we had a meal. And when we finished eat, we still found them sitting. So I asked them, why did they not go? Why they're waiting? They said, no, they'd like to just wait for us so that we can continue together. And you cannot believe the joy on their faces that they could now go home to their families. And the joy in my heart knowing that I was there in the nick of time to help. I remember my friend many years ago, his house was to be repossessed, and it was such a trying time for him and his family that the bank gave them a few days before their home will be taken away because they were in serious arrears. He did everything possible. He cried out to every family member. He did his best for months trying to bring his home back, his arrears all paid up, but he just couldn't. He cried out. At that time I was leaving my job. For about 5 years I worked. I received my payout. I gave him all the money that he needed to pay the arrears on his home, and his home was saved. Till today, it's been more than 20 years. He has not paid me back. I have not heard from him, but I forgive him. And God has blessed me much more. So it's always a pleasure to help, even though I did not get it back. I have in the years loaned to many friends and families. I've loaned hundreds and hundreds, thousands to friends and families that have taken from me and have not paid me back. And I've never held it against them. I have continued, forgiven them, and I continue to live my life. I went into business with a friend recently, and this friend was a very good man, very good friend of mine. We went into business together. I put all the financial layouts. I got all the resources needed for the business, all that came from my pockets, because I knew I could trust him. When everything was done and the business was all registered and everything was done, he tricked me and he disappeared with all the resources, the money I put in, the vehicle that I bought. He disappeared. Once again, I forgave him. Once again, I cried out to the Lord. I did not hunt him down. There was no vengeance in my heart. I said, whatever he's done, he will answer, and he'll give answer to the Lord. I went further still. What he did, he left his family, this same guy, he left his wife and his children in poverty. His wife cried out to me because she had nothing in her home. The children didn't have school fees paid. I then hired his wife to help me in my home. She still works for me as we speak right now. I paid for his children's school fees. I sent the daughter to university. I helped pay. I done many things to help this family, even though the husband tricked me in business. So these are the good things I have done in my life. Many more stories, but I'm just mentioning those that I can remember. And it pays to do a good deed. It pays to be generous. And my life has only been a blessing. My life has only been prosperous. My health has been good. I have been blessed to travel the world. I've been blessed with 2 homes. I've been blessed with so much. I have been blessed with good health. My children are blessed. My wife and her family is blessed. So we've only received blessings one after another, and still continue to receive blessings from the Lord Almighty. So it pays to be a good Samaritan. It pays to be generous. God really looks upon you. God really bless the generous giver. Because whatever you give, you get back tenfold. Always remember that. Once again, I thank you for listening to this video, and I hope it inspires you and teaches you how to give and how to be generous, and to know that the Lord Almighty is watching you, and He will bless you. For everyone you help, you'll receive it, your blessings tenfold back. Thank you once again for listening, and God bless.